Welcome to the Nerd Party.
You have entered the House of Hughes, the latest exploration here on the Houselights podcast, where we look at the work of directors by various different categories and categorizations and decades and all of that sort of thing. So we're looking at John Hughes of the 1980s. And this being our third episode in the series, we are looking at his third film, Weird Science. And with me exploring this highly accurate scientific exploration of computer technology is Dr. Sci-Fi himself, Darren Moser. Darren, is your doll hooked up?
I'm glad I'm not a doctorate of science because there is very little of that in this actual movie. So science fiction is here to stay. And yes, I have the doll hooked up. Always, that's step number 1 in the manual, hook up the doll.
And Tristan, I must say that you look very charming with a bra on your head. Are you ready to enter this latest room in the House of Hughes?
Thank you. It's ceremonial,
It is, but you know what? The thing is, even when it's ceremonial, you care about fashion, and it shows. I wish this was a video podcast so people could tell. It's really, you went the extra mile here. So.
I am excited to talk about this. I am jazzed. I haven't seen this movie in a very long time, so it was very interesting to watch it again, and I cannot wait to discuss it with two of my favorite people to podcast with.
Well, while we wait for them to show up, remember to go on over to thenerdparty.com/contact and reach out to the show and let us know who you'd like us to cover. And Tristan, where can people find you online if they want to harass you about your opinions about John Hughes?
Well, you can find me mainly on Twitter and Letterboxd at The Insane Robin. You can also find me all over this website at thenerdparty.com and check out some of my other shows. Go to my bio page and you'll see everything that I do. I'm really proud of everything that I do on this network.
And Darren, why don't you tell people where they can go and pick apart the scientific inaccuracies of Kelly LeBrock's creation here in Weird Science?
They can definitely go to drsci-fi.com, but they can also go to Letterboxd, where I do have a list of the movies that I've been watching, trying to keep up on that and putting my ratings. So that's also Dr. Sci-Fi.
And, I do want to say as a quick aside for the ratings, Darren actually keeps us honest. And by tracking all of those ratings, it is something special to behold.
Well, really I know if I put all of this data in the spreadsheet in my computer, one day it will manifest itself as a live movie critic. That's how it works, right?
I'm betting that movie critic looks something like Jay Sherman when it's all said and done. But here we are, Weird Science. This is John Hughes' third film. This is 1985's Weird Science, which, I have memories of seeing this way back when. And Tristan, you had mentioned that you hadn't seen this in a while, but we have a new initiate here. Darren, this is your first time seeing Weird Science, correct?
It is. I think I knew more about the Chet animatronics and that special effect than anything. I think I'd read about it in an article or something like that. And I knew the base premise of they make a girl and again, the bras on the head spoof. That's been spoofed, everywhere.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. And of course, it is one of the earlier works of Iron Man himself, Mr. Tony Stark, Robert Downey, no junior.
No junior in the credits.
No junior in the credits is in this film. So it's really trippy to go back and say, hey, that guy's going to become one of the biggest stars in movie history.
One of the highest paid actors of all time.
It's pretty crazy. So for anybody, I don't know why anybody would listen to us talk about this if they haven't seen it, but just as a refresher to everybody, in case you haven't watched it in a while, of course, it's about two friends, Gary and Wyatt, who one night at a sleepover while watching Frankenstein are struck by a crazy idea to hook up a Barbie doll to their computer and flip a couple switches and try to bring said doll to life the way that Frankenstein and Frankenstein's bride were brought to life. And hilarity ? Ensues. But Tristan, what is your earliest memory of this? When did you see this for the first time?
Man, I remember seeing this pretty young. So it had to have been on TV. It had to have been on TV because I wouldn't have gotten it from the library. I know my parents wouldn't have gotten it for me. at the video store. So it had to have been a TV edited version, just randomly, just because it wasn't an appointed viewing for me. Like it wasn't like, oh, Weird Science is coming on, I better sit down and tape it. No, it was pure happenstance, and I caught it pretty early. I think right when they were starting all the quote unquote science in his bedroom. That's when I started the movie, and I made it up until I never got to Chet transforming into that goblin creature.
Yes.
So like I'd never actually seen the beginning and end before. Like this was the first time I've seen it completely. But I've seen like 90% of it before.
That's pretty interesting because I have a lot of friends, because of course I'm the old man of the group, who love this movie. They this is a sort of like a childhood comedy touchstone for them. I remember, I mean, there were plenty of bits that I always found cute and funny, but this was never something where it came to mind. Like if you said John Hughes to me, I was like Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, 16 Can't. Like I would go down the whole litany, and then it would be like, oh yeah, right, he did Weird Science as well. And it's, the thing that strikes me on this rewatch is how much this is so much like the typical teen comedies of the 1980s. There's nothing that really distinguishes it in any meaningful way from those comedies. And so, Darren, we've got 2 Hughes films under our belt. You gave Breakfast Club 5 stars because of its message and its resolution and everything. And I think that's completely justified.
I'm not giving my star rating just yet. Okay.
Oh, no, I know.
We're 7 minutes into the podcast.
But to set the stage.
Right.
Do you feel that this is the work of the same, like, is this the work of the same director to you, or is this a sort of out of left field, wait, what happened sort of moment for you?
Yeah, it is a bit of a jarring change. I mean, I was expecting more for the 3rd installment of the Anthony Michael Hall trilogy as this character we've seen for these 3 movies. I mean, obviously not the same character, but yeah, it's one of those things where if they can get you to buy into the premise, you're probably going to enjoy it way more. But if you cannot get bought into that premise, if it is a step too far, you're going to be scratching your head the whole time, because they play fast and loose. And there is, again, we talk about like rules and lore and stuff like that. Like, what are her powers? Why does she have powers? Why, like, what is going on? Because my goodness, there's a lot of stuff that happens in this movie.
I feel like we've been spoiled as in the 2020s or like 2010s and everything like that, where we tried to, actually, I guess in this century, where we focus into, science fiction tries so hard to separate itself from science fantasy. And so like
hard science, like we have those kinds of movies now.
Right. Yeah, right. And like even in the quote unquote hard science movies, like you have a big leap of faith with a lot of the stuff where you have to buy into the premise. But like we explain so much in modern movies how things work. And that's one thing that I actually really like. I'm a big Star Wars fan, and I'm a big Star Trek fan, like all of us in this room. But one thing I really appreciate about Star Wars is that things just work. Like the hyperdrive just works. Like we don't know how it works. Yeah. It's not explained on screen. You get on a ship and
you go to a planet.
Exactly. And in Star Trek, like forward. They go into great detail on how it works in their universe and in their reality, on how the warp drive
excessive.
Works. Some would say excessive. Some would say excessive. Exactly.
I mean, there is a whole phrase, technobabble, that we
and so sometimes they're happy medium. Sometimes you can go in other directions, but then you kind of go into like this wacky, crazy realm where things work and you just got to roll with it. Like one thing, like this movie kind of made me think of, like, not too many people have actually seen this movie, but have you ever seen Michael Keaton in Multiplicity?
Yes.
Yeah. Like there. So Darren, you're shaking your head. No, Multiplicity is, so Michael Keaton is just like, he's exhausted. Like he needs to get more done. And he has like a science friend or something like that. He's directed to a clinic, and they're like, if you need some extra help, we can just clone you and like
that's the
give
thing
you
we can do now. Just
that's the thing that
know.
we can do. And the cloning machine is super goof. Like the whole movie's like it's rooted in like there's no like boing sound effects, like throughout the movie. But in this one, it's like ding boom bing bom boom.
So almost like everlasting gobstopper machine levels.
Yes.
Of crazy.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then all of a sudden, boom, there's another Michael Keaton. And so you just have to buy into the premise.
Right.
It's just like, it's not a science fiction film in the sense of let's spend half the movie talking about the ethics of cloning.
This isn't Jurassic LeBrock, where it's like, my God, man, you've created life. You are responsible for what happens now. What if she gets pregnant for Pete's sake?
100%. That's exactly right. Like this is a goofy ass premise, and there's no logic to it. It's just things happen. She can do whatever she wants, and she says that right at the beginning. She's like, I can do whatever I want. I can get whatever I want, and then she does. And so, yeah, it's just, I kind of rolled with it.
It's interesting though, because in reading about this after the fact, I did not know that there was also a 4-season TV show called Weird Science.
Yeah.
But the premise outlined in that for me makes way more sense because there's also she kind of has a magical genie aspect to her where she can grant wishes and things like that. And so I kind of feel like they kind of should have gone more on the magic route. Like if he had added a couple of magical books into the paper feed or whatever, that personally, that would have helped magic. Me. Nope. Yeah, just I think we needed to double down, and we didn't have enough magic, and trying to do it all science, it didn't click for me.
Well, I mean, you can find the perfect blending there with Dungeons and Dragons, have the monster manual on there, and because that's a real science to creating the proper character in Dungeons and Dragons. Trust me,
they fill out a character sheet and feed it in or something.
You have to, that would work. I mean, I think all of that ties into the fact that this just seems so routine for the 80s. And Hughes,
crazy scenario to basically give us a woman that the boys can do whatever they want, but it's also a different take because she has this greater purpose in helping them.
Well, I mean, honestly, I think it's interesting that she's really the one in control the whole time.
Yeah, she has way more autonomy than you would expect in this kind of scenario. And
I like that because it makes everything a little bit less bothersome in certain regards. Like she's in control. It's okay, she's in control. I don't feel that she's being pushed around or ordered in any way. But in terms of the premise and the execution, again, I know I'm going to keep going back to this. For the guy that just gave us Breakfast Club, it's puzzling to me because usually a director, it's moving forward. It's building on things, right? You look at the career of Christopher Nolan, you can see him put the pieces together as he goes forward and everything builds up and he puts all of the skills together and things keep growing in complexity and depth. And then this could have been directed by anybody. I see nothing in this that says this is a John Hughes movie.
When did he produce this? I'm curious because also Breakfast Club was 85. So was this technically produced? I mean, I'm guessing he didn't make them literally simultaneously. So which one?
Kind of did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that was, it's also a very simple movie. I mean, it's a little bit of around the school and the soundstage in the back lot. I think they shot it in 2 months, October to December of 84.
Yep.
So
October to December. And it was
wrote it in 2 days.
Well, yes, it shows.
No, with it, I think how it goes, I could be wrong, but I think how it went was he didn't really want to make Weird Science. He wanted to put all of his effort towards the Breakfast Club. And the studio said, okay, well, you got to give us Weird Science. You got to give us this fun, stupid movie, and then you can do Breakfast Club. So he was shooting and doing pre-production. He was shooting Weird Science and doing pre-production for Breakfast Club. So he was actually making Weird Science first, but it didn't get released until after Breakfast Club.
And
Breakfast Club, I'm just reading it right now, was principally shot in March to May of 84. So it was shot first. And then he shot
Breakfast Club was shot first.
And then he shot Weird Science October to December of 84.
So he was shooting this during post-production on Breakfast Club. That's fascinating to me.
Okay. So I got it reversed. Okay, that's great. That's good to know.
No, but I mean, that is truly kind of fascinating. And it could explain a lot about why the movie feels like it's just dashed off. Where it's just like,
Yeah,
yeah,
that
this is
could.
just a thing. I'm just going to make this. And this is somebody who knows he's not going to be remembered for this, that this is a forgettable, just you throw it in the matinee for, it'll make a couple of bucks with the 15-year-olds and we're done sort of thing. And I think its reception.
I mean, it made a chunk of
shows
money. I mean, it had a
It did.
$7.5
It was
million
a success.
budget and made almost $40 million. Like,
It wasn't a critical success, but it made money.
This is going to seem really ridiculous. Or
that is a
ridiculously
ridiculous movie. You're right.
Well, no, but ridiculously dismissive of me. But back then, in terms of movie theater releases, I'm going to chalk up this success to fewer choices and an August release date. Seriously.
No, you're probably right.
You toss this at the beginning of August. There's nothing else really going on. It's the hottest month of the year for for most North American areas. And it's just like, yeah, the kids are just going to go see it. School's out. What the heck? And I mean, that's the way I look at it. Until we were watching this and I did a little poking around, I didn't know that Kelly LeBrock was not the first choice to play Lisa.
Yeah. Let's talk about the first two choices.
Well,
or I shouldn't say choices, but the two people who auditioned.
The one name I know for sure is Kelly Emberg, who left after 2 days due to creative differences, according to Wikipedia.
Oh, okay. I'm talking about something else. There was two big names who auditioned for it, and two people I really like, but I don't think would have been right for this movie. And that's Demi Moore and Robin Wright auditioned.
Oh, goodness.
For the role of Lisa.
Oh, no. That wouldn't have worked at all.
No. And I love me some Robin Wright, but she would not have been right for this role.
Yeah, no. And the thing is, this made Kelly LeBrock's career. Like this. Yeah. Film career?
Okay, well, yes, I'll go with film career. Yeah.
Oh,
she was already wildly successful before.
Yes,
before Weird Science.
But she became a movie star, or she became a bankable movie actress after this. Later, going on to star in Hard to Kill with Steven Seagal. Step up, step down, don't know. Yeah. Same question. Step up, step down, don't know. But yeah, Kelly Emberg was married. I think she was married at the time to Rod Stewart, the legendary rock star. And or she was either dating and about to get married or something like that. I don't even know anymore.
Now, I always find this fascinating with movies from the 20th century, what Siskel and Ebert said about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I always love going back and figuring
kind of a nice
out.
Consistent, because they reviewed everything almost, it seems.
And they were split on it. Like Siskel hated it, but Ebert thought it was fun and ridiculous in like nice fantasy escapism.
So Siskel, he bought into the premise.
Yeah, he bought into the premise, and I think Siskel thought it was too sleazy, is what he said. Something along those lines.
Yeah, he gave it 1.5 stars out of the antiquated 4-star scale. And he said, the quote that I have here is, "What a disappointment Weird Science is. A wonderful writer-director has taken a cute idea about two teenage Dr. Frankensteins creating a perfect woman by computer and turned it into a vulgar, mindless, special effects cluttered wasteland."
Which,
I mean,
it does have a lot more special effects than his previous work. I mean, that's not wrong. It is a bit of a change, a departure for Hughes.
True.
I'm not saying the effects in itself make it a bad movie. I'm just saying you're expecting a Hughes movie, a tight, small story, this is not that.
I mean, the thing is, you also had Janet Maslin, the legendary critic for the New York Times, was also not incredibly kind to it, but she at least recognized the target audience for it, because she said it was the type of joke only a 14-year-old could appreciate or something like that. And so Ebert winds up being a little bit of the outlier, but what a lot of people that enjoyed the movie definitely, flagged was that they loved Kelly LeBrock. They thought she was great. They loved her energy. They loved what she brought to the screen. And so I wonder, and, Darren, I'll ask you, do you think that it's a case of sometimes you have an actor or actress whose charisma blinds you to the shortcomings of a movie. Do you think that happened here with LeBrock?
Wait, are you saying that her charisma
blinded certain critics to the shortcomings of the movie?
Yeah. Well, possibly. I think the movie would be half of what it is if it had been someone else in that role. She carries that role and performs it masterfully. I mean, because it's not a motherly role, but it's also like she's really the only one who has her stuff together in the whole. Like, she's the only competent person in this entire movie. Like, none of the parents, none of the grandparents, none of the brothers, nobody has any like credence except for her in any of the situations. So yeah, no, I think she really stands out. And I was checking the data tapes from '85, and so this came out the week after Pee-wee's Big Adventure and National Lampoon's European Vacation.
Actually, this movie is the reason why Anthony Michael Hall isn't in European Vacation.
Oh, was he going to be in that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he was supposed to reprise Rusty from the original Vacation. And that would have been, I mean, you can debate back and forth as to whether this was the right choice, because European Vacation is pretty god-awful itself.
I mean,
but he's the
opening
lead
weekend
in Weird Science,
Yeah.
He got top billing. That's hard to pass up.
And I think he did a good job, in this one, for, again, we've been watching him progress through these last 3 Hughes films.
I know that a lot of, like, I went on Letterboxd after I watched it to see what like modern audiences have said about it. And speaking of Anthony Michael Hall, a lot of people with, understandable reasons, I guess, hated the bar scene, like Anthony Michael Hall's performance. I thought it was freaking hysterical when he cracked out that Creole accent.
Yes.
And I lost it. I could not contain myself when that bar scene happened, because as they walk in and you see, the demographics, like my wife watched it with me and she's like, I don't think they belong there. Right when she said that.
I love the fact that they have a literal record skip.
Yeah.
I too think that scene is great. It's very rare for Too Long to Go without myself and other friends, ancient like myself, not to somehow work in like, man, it was insane, crazy insane, just like insane, crazy insane. It's a legitimately funny moment, I think, because of the fact that it's so absurd, because this kid is so freaking blasted that he's crossed that line. And I think Anthony Michael Hall does a great job of selling the idea that this kid is like one drink shy of alcohol poisoning drunk. And it's just enjoyable for that reason.
Yeah, I think, that definitely was a highlight for me. Like, since we're talking about highlights, let's talk about things that did work for us. If I could hijack, a
please.
little bit. That I think overall the scene was a little odd with Anthony Michael Hall's parents. I don't think it was needed in the least. But when Kelly LeBrock,
gun scene, right?
Yeah, the guns. Yeah, like when Kelly LeBrock pulled out a revolver, like it just really solidified, how ridiculous this movie was. I mean, not that you needed any more examples, but for like when they're having this scene and she's just not giving a crap what the parents are thinking whatsoever, and then they're just like, "Get out of my house," and then she just pulls out a revolver out of what wasn't a violent scene in the least. It raises it to that absurd level where you have to admire how crazy that is.
Well, and it kicks off what I think is a great running gag of continually going back and the mom trying to remind the dad that they have a son named Gary. And he's like, who the hell are you talking about? That I think is a
bringing it up.
I can say again, and I know I said, oh, I knew a guy like Bender, but I also was related to somebody like Chet, not my own brother, but I was related to somebody like that. And so Chet is especially funny to me. And I think Bill Paxton leans into that, but he's especially funny because of the fact that I think, oh yeah, I know this guy. He is this. And I think Paxton plays him really, really well. But what's interesting, and this is going to carry forward into Ferris Bueller's Day Off very much, is Hughes starts breaking the fourth wall here.
Yeah.
And
I was thinking that too. There's a lot of, I personally think he perfects it. He perfects it more in Ferris Bueller's.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure.
Well, I mean, it's a
starting
motif
that,
in Ferris Bueller. Here, it's just kind of like a wink to the audience. Like when
or even the fact that
Yeah.
like not even the times when they're breaking the fourth wall, but like how much the characters talk to each other. You know what I mean? Where like they're in the like when they're in the shower and they're talking about getting ready to like put the moves on the girls, and it's like, you know, somehow it's like it's trying to get there, but again, when we see stuff like that where Ferris is doing it, it's more natural. They're not quite there yet, but
I think what you see here is Hughes.
It's like a prototype.
Yeah, he's like this is a throwaway movie to him, but he's starting to explore. He's like, okay, let me see how I can make this work.
Yeah.
So
how do we tap into the mind of our characters without them
Yeah.
either directly looking at the camera and saying what they're feeling, or an internal speech monologue? Like, yeah, how do you get inside these characters' heads?
Yeah. There are plenty of things about this movie that I do like, because I like them in, you know, in silos, in seclusion. Like there are bits that I like. But I'm not going to wind up being a defender of the movie as a whole. And where I think it really gets too absurd. Now, yes, it's very absurd when she pulls out the revolver, when she wipes the people, she sends the grandparents into a catatonic state. But the ending is so messy with the biker gang.
Yes.
It's such a clumsy, I think it's very obvious that, you know, again, we've talked about how he's just dashing.
And
us
are
off,
they
he's satisfying
real
a thing.
because they know things that they shouldn't know?
It's
like
interesting that you say that, because
Yeah.
there's some TV cut where there was a moment restored where the two boys figure out that this is just a test. And that's why they suddenly get
that's why
courage.
they have so much confidence.
But in the theatrical version, that's not in there. And so it really is them gaining courage in front of these rabid mutant bikers that have destroyed the house.
Well, I can't remember his name, but that one actor who's got like the jaw like a steel trap and the pointed head, and you're like, he knows. Like his agent's like, hey, I got a good role for you, Bob. You know, because this is your look. You got this, and
he
that
knows where his bread is buttered. Yeah,
he knows. Yeah. But I love, you know, it's like Thunderdome. I'm in. You know, the weird science. I'm there.
Well, where I have to give Hughes credit is casting Vernon Wells as Lord General in the biker gang. He's the guy that has the white face paint under his eyes.
Oh, the lead. Yeah, because he's the head biker.
He's the bad guy, one of the bad guys from Road Warrior, Mad Max 2.
He's wearing the exact same outfit.
I was going to say, I think he's wearing the same thing. And wasn't there like a Road Warrior car like out the hole in the wall? Like they literally rode off the set of Road Warrior into this movie is like what happened.
Well, I think
for
that
me,
was
that
at
was
least a little clever.
That scene is like when that happened, that's when I was watching it. It was like, okay.
Like a step too far.
You're losing me here, John. Like you're like, come on. Like you're better than this. Like you can do better than this.
Yeah, and it's
well, maybe instead of because I'm trying to think of antagonists in this, and you have Chet, but you also have the two kind of bullies. And the problem is we had already kind of flipped them. They're not bullies anymore. They're not antagonists.
Way too early. Yeah.
So if they had stayed as the antagonists, and instead they have to stand up to their own peers instead of the mythical, magical, you know, biker gang, maybe it would have hit differently.
Well, that scene where they try to make another woman and then they forget the doll and everything like that. Like you excise that scene and just have them say no. Just like no, like we're not going to do that. We're not like you guys are the POS, you know, like we're not, you are bullies, you pantsed us.
They feel like they're smart enough to see through that lie. Like it's obviously they just want something and for some reason they go along with it.
Yeah.
And then like have the bullies try to ruin the party.
Right.
You know, like they make even bigger asses of themselves, or like they're rude to their own girlfriends publicly or something like that. And then the guys have to interject. You know, that would have made a much more substantial and much more logical through line for the characters and for the story. And it just, in an already absurd movie, like that's the thing, is that like when you have absurdity, you know, you want to bend our belief, and even our disbelief, but you don't want to break it. And that was the moment where it was broken.
Yeah.
Yes. No, absolutely.
With the mutant gang.
Absolutely. And the thing is, just because we had mentioned a TV version differences, is this movie was victim of early days of music rights problems. And so its home release, they just used Weird Science by Oingo Boingo over and over and over again. And so Pretty Woman by Van Halen and the Rocky theme at the end did not appear until a much later home video release on disc.
With the HD, it was a difference between HD and standard definition. Like when you had the DVD release, it was all Oingo Boingo, and when you had HD, well, like once they got to the Blu-ray and like they started showing it online and everything like that, that's when they actually worked out the music.
Weird
rights.
Science feels like it would be
crazy?
an HD DVD. It feels like it'd be weird. Like
I'm sure that it is, but you know,
I don't think it was.
I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying, like, if any movie was like, we backed HD DVD, it feels like Weird Science would be the one that did that.
But given the fact that, you know, it's very obvious that we have our problems with this and everything. Speaking as somebody who knows a lot of people who have very affectionate memories of this movie and still have a lot of love for it, you know, I'll toss this to you first, Tristan. Like, what is it you think? Like, is it purely just it came out at the right time for people to hold on to it as this little gem of the 80s? Or do you think that there's something that just the three of us aren't quite on board with? Like, what is it you think that makes this sort of endure?
I normally try to keep this ambiguous until the end, and then I surprise everybody. But I'll out myself right now. I really enjoyed this when I watched it for this podcast. I did. I did not, because, you know, like you and I joked with Darren at the end of the last podcast about how, like, okay, yeah, it's a movie, you know, like, you know, everything.
He's
like
getting
that.
better. Next week's Weird Science. You're like, yeah, Darren. Yeah.
I keep believing that, because when I remembered watching it, like I was young, and I didn't get it. Like, I wasn't tapped into it. I was just like, this is stupid. This is weird. This is absurd. This is off the wall. I don't like these guys. You know, I don't, you know, I'm not rooting for the protagonist and everything like that. But for some reason, and my wife, like when we were sitting down, we're just like the kids are finally in bed. I was like, hey, what do you want to watch? And she's like, don't you need to watch Weird Science? And I was like, God dang it. You know, and I was like, fine, let's just get it over with. It's pretty short.
Fine, Mom, get my homework out.
And as I'm watching it, like, we're both laughing. We're both chuckling a lot, like way more than I expected. I was like, wait, I don't remember liking it this much. And a lot of things were working more than it wasn't. Now, I still recognize its flaws. I understand it's absurd. And like, I can't argue with you guys. Like, I agree with you guys about the things that don't work, but I don't know what it was, but like, I was exhausted. I had a crap week. I had my Ukrainian mule, and I was just ready to watch. I was ready to just turn my brain off. And I was like, just hit me with it. Just hit me. I didn't even know this, but my brain was ready to just have absurd fantasy. And that's what I got. And I just absolutely chuckled. I thought Kelly LeBrock did an amazing job. She came to work. Like, she showed up to work.
Yeah.
And the boys weren't, they were at the beginning, like before they actually created Kelly LeBrock, I was like, I don't know if I can handle these guys. Like, I don't know if I can get behind these guys. But then once LeBrock's in it, that's when you're like, okay, she's reining these people in. And, you know, like, this movie has way more heart than you expect, even though it has like these sexual overtones. There is this pseudo, this is not the right term, and don't, you know, come after me, but like Darren, you kind of mentioned it earlier, but like it's almost this maternal thing going on, between Kelly
like
LeBrock
protector,
and the boys.
she's a guardian for them.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
so much better than
Yeah.
maternal. It's
It
so much
sure
better than
is.
maternal.
It absolutely is
It
in this
really
context,
is.
Tristan. Yeah.
Because I'm not trying to get
Bravo,
all Oedipal
Darren.
on this, but
Please don't.
it's like it's this guardian, it's this protectorate where she's invested in these boys, and
it elevates her character a lot.
And like John Hughes like knows when to skirt the line with this, because when like I felt like I was transported back to 15 and 16 while watching some of these scenarios, because like when Anthony Michael Hall, and I know I've been talking to him for a long time, but like when Anthony Michael Hall is passed out, and it's Wyatt and Kelly LeBrock, and they're out on the balcony, and she's kissing him, and it's a really sweet scene, and you think, you're like, oh god, like is she gonna take his virginity? Like, damn, okay, like all right. And like as a 15-year-old boy, you're like, hell yeah, like go for it, dude. Go on. And then you reveal later on, or she reveals later on, like she's like, I was 5 minutes into my like my gymnastics routine and you fell asleep. And like I remember saying out loud, I was like, you freaking moron. But you need that in the script to make it okay, because you have this grown woman, even though she was created in fiction, she is an adult woman being sexually active with a 15-year-old boy. Not okay. But John Hughes finds a way to make it okay by having just a little bit of kissing and a little bit of that teen fantasy, but then you think like, oh god, did they go too far? And then he reels it back in, and he does that a couple of times. And I think it's this fantasy fulfillment movie. It's absurd, it's stupid, it's fun, and it makes you remember, like in the way that Breakfast Club reminds you what it was like in all the horrible aspects of being a high schooler. I think Weird Science reminds you of all the insane, stupid nonsense that you would get into, and all the horniness that you were just a walking hormone. I think like he reminds you of several different aspects of your teenagedom, and that's what I really appreciated. And I think that's why it works for some people. It's not just because it wasn't nostalgia for me, to answer your question, John, shortly. Yes. It wasn't, like it wasn't nostalgia for me at all. I had no nostalgia for this whatsoever, except for maybe just Kelly LeBrock being Kelly LeBrock. But to me, I was just like, no, this is good. This is stupid and good. This is like Earth Girls Are Easy, stupid. And like you guys, have you not seen that film? Like you?
No,
never mind. So the listeners might know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But.
No, I'm familiar with it. I know what it's. I know its basic premise and everything like that. I've just never gotten around to it. So
But yeah, like that's why it worked for me. Like I know I just basically gave my ending spiel of why I like this movie and why I think it works. I feel like I should give a star rating, but I won't. But yeah, that's why I think it works. And that because it's not just nostalgia. I think there's genuine things in here. There's a lot wrong with it, and this could be way better. Like this could be a 4-star film if I feel like he was able to spend the time, like if John Hughes was more invested in this and not disgruntled because it was taking time away from Breakfast Club, I feel like we could have had a much more honed script and a much more cleaner edit.
Well, I mean, that sounds pretty authoritative to me, but Darren, is there anything about Tristan's assessment that as a first-time viewer you want to disagree with?
No, I mean, I definitely agree. Lisa was the best part of the whole movie, just the way, like I've said before, she's the only one who has all her stuff together. Like every other character in this movie, from parent to child. Yeah, but no, I think Hughes skirts the line even more. I mean, even the shower scene in the beginning it works because it's funny because they're fully clothed and they're like, yeah, of course, like, are they seeing anything that they didn't see in all the magazines that they fed into the computer? Like, no,
That
and,
actually had Kelly LeBrock's Playboy centerfold
Right.
in it,
Yeah.
which was hilarious.
and and then you just have, I think it probably should have gone more ridiculous faster and sooner. I think basically because then you're more like, okay, that's the train I'm on right now. Like it took so long where, I mean, by the end you're just like, oh, Chet was turned into a weird like slime monster. Yeah, that tracks with what's been going on. Whereas if that had happened a little sooner, that might have been a little more head scratching. But it's interesting because with the two leads, it keeps making me think of the two guys standing in the doorway in 16 Candles, like those friends that weren't part of the story. Like
Yeah.
it feels like this is the movie about those friends and what they did the next weekend is what it feels like.
John Cusack and
John Cusack and but
that's I want to stop you right there because I hadn't thought of it that way, but I think you're right. I think
what it feels like.
Those two guys,
he took
and
those
makes a
two
movie about
guys
them.
and made a movie. I mean, he changed the actors, but it feels like those are that's it. All fits together. I got my red string on my board over here, and I'm piecing it. But yeah, it was. I think it was wonderfully acted. I think the way they portray teenagers, especially at the mall. I'm trying to think of the scenes like besides the party. I mean, the party takes up a huge chunk of the movie.
I was at that mall the morning the morning I watched the movie. It was weird.
I have a question for you.
Oh, that's right.
Does it still look exactly the same inside, or have they updated it?
No, not at all. It doesn't. It doesn't look like that at all.
Oh, that's.
So you needed to.
the layout is the same.
You need to print out a screenshot and do one of those like hold it in real life where it lines up with the background.
You know what, Darren? I think you and I should fly out.
That's the only way
to that mall, and we should dump the icy on Tristan while he's sitting there.
I'll give you the Hughes tour.
While
you guys are here.
There you go.
Because actually the
Home Alone house, all this stuff.
The front of the Shermer High School is just it's the same exact. They just cut it from 16 Candles.
Yes,
it has the same extras in the frame doing the same movements, and
that's
they
funny.
reused it in Risky Business too.
Hey, generic
good footage
80s school. There you go.
Good footage is good footage, right?
But no, I feel a lot of the times when we're watching the teenagers do things like they're getting the cologne and they're, shopping and figuring things out and they're just being teenagers, and I think it works fairly well in that regard. I mean, those are kind of the non-fantasy elements where they're just kind of going about their lives. I was also kind of surprised, like that Chet, like really wasn't a problem till the very end. I mean, obviously we interact with him, but I was surprised that he didn't meet Lisa until the very end. Like I thought that would have crossed over at some point earlier and would have come to a head sooner, but it didn't, I guess. So, but then we have the party. We have the people from the bar coming to run bartending. The masses, show up in silence because we don't hear them, and then they're like opening the door, they're like party. I'm like, there's no way like 100 people just got in your lawn and you had no idea.
Listen,
that's why it's funny.
That's why it's funny. The thing that I think truly captures the high school experience is all of the kids rushed in to get the fancy hors d'oeuvres and sandwiches as opposed to the alcohol, because that's what kids show up to do at a party is not drink, but to eat fine finger foods. I mean, the thing is, I know it sounds like I'm coming down too harsh on it, but it really is one of those ones where even on this rewatch, I agree with you, Tristan. I laugh during it. I do. I still laugh. Like I said, there are bits that I treasure, that little 5-minute part here and there sort of thing. It's just as the whole, it doesn't gel for me. It very much feels like just another routine 80s teen comedy. And those are very hit and miss. And this feels like one that kind of hits. So it's not a miss per se, but it's not a movie that I expect from a guy who has 2 films in like the National Film Registry as important cultural events. This isn't the type of movie where I look at it and I'm like, well, yes, this may not be
obviously
John
a Hughes
Ford,
film.
This may not be Ford's The Searchers, but I mean, it's not Ford Apache either. But they're equally good works. Like,
do you think you would look on it more favorably if you didn't know it was a John Hughes film?
Probably. At this point, yes. And I think that probably had something to do with it, was I paid a lot less attention to that type of thing when I was a kid. And so watching this back then...
You didn't have an expectation. You just went to watch a movie.
It's just a zany comedy. But yes, having the expectation in this context of I just watched The Breakfast Club and then I came to this really is a whiplash effect of, okay, why not? Like, seriously, in my brain, it would have made more sense to have 16 Candles, Weird Science, and then have The Breakfast Club show up and say, oh, wow, and then go into Ferris Bueller, and then go into Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. That makes more sense to my brain than the way
I think, even though I didn't like 16 Candles at all, I think I would take that a step further and say, like, if this was his first film, and then he did
like
16 Candles,
film.
and then he did...
Well, I shared a link with you guys. The intro reminded me a lot of a student film I made back in 2003, and it was, it's one of those, you look at the credits and you're like, written, directed, acted, and edited, and everything by Darren Moser. Yeah.
Costumes.
I want to say thank you for sharing the link. I did get a kick out of it. But yes, the credits reminded me of, for Twisted Pair, Neil Breen's latest classic. It said written, directed, and craft services by Neil Breen was funny. One of the credits. And I looked at it and I said, huh. Okay.
You just compared your work to Neil Breen. Are you going to take that?
Yeah.
Listen, yours was more coherent and had more of an actual plot.
No, don't backpedal. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh, no, I'm not backpedaling. I'm just saying the credits were similar, but yeah.
But yeah, well, my story was, two roommates at college have to do a paper, and so they invent a time machine. And how do you invent a time machine? You watch time travel movies and pluck elements from those movies. Makes about as much sense as replicating what Frankenstein did to create a woman and
with a plastic doll.
Yeah, well, so it feels very like. So the overall plot, again, like I said at the beginning, if you don't buy into it, you're going to have difficulties. But the overall premise is, it feels like a student film. It feels like a draft one student film.
You're right. It does. Although, speaking to, the plastic doll, I will say at the very least with them watching Frankenstein, there's some line like, oh, we could do it like Frankenstein. It's like, I'm not
digging up dead people.
I'm not digging up dead people. It's like, that's actually pretty funny because even Frankenstein now, we don't even really think about how horrific.
Yeah, where did that body come from?
Right, exactly. We don't really process exactly how awful that
is. This?
Right. So I mean, I'll be honest. I know that sometimes with Hughes, there's more to say, but I don't know that there is more to say with this one, guys. I really don't, except to say that Weird Science by Oingo Boingo with their lead singer, Danny Elfman, in 1985 is a scant 4 years away from delivering the Batman score for Tim Burton. So processing that is weird in and of itself. From my perspective, it's like, wow, 4 years from now, the guy singing Weird Science is going to deliver a score that has defined more than half of my life.
I am unashamed to say I had no idea that Danny Elfman was the singer.
Yeah.
For that. I had zero clue with that.
Yeah. And Weird Science is a good song. It's a good 80s song, and it's got a good beat and is a lot of fun. Better than Thomas Dolby's She Blinded Me with Science.
Speaking of music, there's another friggin' Dragnet reference.
Yeah.
What is it with Hughes and Dragnet?
Listen, they were still on reruns, just not as frequently when I was growing up. So it was a pretty consistent cultural reference. I mean, because in the 80s is when they had the remake or the attempted remake, reboot, whatever, with Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks. They tried to have a Dragnet comedy, and that was sometime around the mid 80s that they did that. So Dragnet was apparently still on everybody's mind culturally. So maybe it's as simple as people knew Dragnet.
Yeah, the music was. I looked it up. I was like, did this person do what I think they did? No, they didn't. They did a lot of Hughes work, but there were motifs and things where it was, again, maybe it's just like, it's 85. It's right in the middle of that decade. Cause I was hearing like Transformers, the movie riffs, and I was picking up all sorts of vibes from other 80s properties that like not directly copied, but just where I was almost thinking like, oh, did this person do that as well? And from what I can tell, no, but maybe they listen to the radio a lot. But now you said you liked Weird Science, but this is also saying that we watched the version that was not Weird Science 20 times in the, so we didn't get bored of it.
Yes. I think that this is probably the point at which we should be asking for our star ratings, and so I'm really legitimately curious, Darren. We tend to go with the person who's seen it for the first time as the first star rating. So, what are you going to give Weird Science here on your first viewing?
So, yeah, I mean, we talked it up a lot, and there are a lot of great points, but when I started to think again of the very beginning of the movie where they're trying to hook you, they're trying to set you up with this premise, and it just felt really student filmish. Like, maybe we're just seeing, like we've said, the pull from I'm shooting it in the end of 84, but I'm still thinking about Breakfast Club, that awesome movie I shot earlier this year that I'd rather spend time on. And it is definitely not the favorite of his. So I'm going to give it a 2. I probably wouldn't watch this except for watching through Hughes of the 80s. It's been out there for decades, and I never felt an inkling to like watch this movie. It didn't really know much more than the pieces we know from pop culture. But I think, I think overall, not a terrible movie, but like we've even said, it feels like it should be number 1 if he's progressing linearly, and then 16 Candles, and then Ferris, and then Breakfast Club, and then so on and so forth. So I hate to feel like I'm going from 2 to 5 to 2, and I'm on a roller coaster here with Hughes, but just besides from Lisa's acting really being the thing that carries it, and definitely the high point of the movie as a whole, just too weird. I would almost say it's like it's an 80s fantasy comedy with like 70s sensibilities. Like it hadn't matured, like, not to say that it feels like an 80s camp or doesn't feel like a 70s camp movie, because that is a different vibe. But I don't know, something's disjointed. Like maybe a different time, maybe a different place in his career, or maybe a different weekend. But I'm not really losing sleep over moving on to the next film after Weird Science.
Fair enough. Tristan, you laughed.
I know it's lower than 4 stars.
You had a good time.
You drew the line in the sand.
We know what cap we're not gonna reach. So it's 3.5 or lower. So what do you give?
I mean, unless we convinced you otherwise, we never know.
No, I mean, I'm not going to go into my spiel because I pretty much gave it. Like I gave everything about what I liked about it, and so I'm giving this a 3 stars, because I think 3 stars is. I think it's fair for me, for someone who really likes it and thinks a lot works, but there's a lot that doesn't. Like, I feel like I could probably bring it down a little bit more, but I there's not too many 2.5 star films I like, but there are some 3 star films I like. So in Letterboxd, it'd be 3 stars with a little heart emoji, and that's me for this film.
How many hairs can we split? Heart emojis, half stars. It's all complete pandemonium here.
I mean, your last 3-star film was Ed Wood.
Was it really?
Yep. I mean, everything else has been like a 2 or a 3 or a, or something higher or lower than 3. But
So Tristan is the Gene Siskel of our crew. Fair enough. We've
But again,
established a baseline.
Whoa.
when I go to back to the history of the ratings, I mean, we've all said a lot of ratings depend on when we've watched it. So
For sure.
I like this way more than Ed Wood. I didn't really like Ed Wood. I think I gave Ed Wood a 3 because of the performances.
It's fair. It's fine either way. I'm going to start off with a special treat, an absolutely special treat, especially for
You're going to
Tristan.
sing Weird Science.
Goodness, no. I said treat, not torture. I am going to eat crow here because I thought The Woman in Red came out after Weird Science, but it came out before. So The Woman in Red really would have been the movie that put Kelly LeBrock on the map before Weird Science.
Do you think The Woman in Red was more popular than Weird Science?
I think that The Woman in Red, Kelly LeBrock, even as a kid back in the mid-'80s, a really young kid back then, I knew about The Woman in Red because so many adults talked about Kelly LeBrock in that movie.
Yeah.
So it might not have been the financial success that Weird Science was, but it was definitely a cultural success in terms of establishing her career. So I was wrong about that. I thought that Weird Science was the one that planted the flag, but it was definitely The Woman in Red.
1 year prior in the previous August. So every August you were getting, awesome Kelly LeBrock films.
Yeah, awesome Kelly LeBrock movies. And then she went on to do Hard to Kill, which, oh, God help me. I still have a soft spot for that movie as bad as it is. I mean, William Sadler's in it, for Pete's sake. Let's find out who directed that so we can do House of that guy so I can watch
Bruce Malmuth.
Well, House of Malmuth coming your way sometime soon.
Then she married Steven Seagal. So,
yeah. Wow. Man, wow. Well, it was a different time. Steven Seagal was a little more sane back then. For my rating, I wind up agreeing with Tristan, and I think nostalgia powers it a bit. 3 stars. This is the type of movie that on a rainy day, I'm putzing around, I'm reorganizing something, or I got to do some spring cleaning or something. Weird Science can be playing in the background, and I'll stop every so often and laugh at Anthony Michael Hall in the bar, or I'll laugh at Chet's scenes because, again, I knew that guy. But 3 stars for me for Weird Science, and that is going to vault us into the next Hughes film that is a part of the film registry, the acknowledged important cultural works of John Hughes, and that is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. So won't you join us next time for Bueller?
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.